They don't know. They don't know what you've been working on in the dark. They don't see the late nights. They don't see the early mornings. They don't see the moments you almost gave up. And didn't. They think you're standing still. They think you're quiet because you have nothing to say. But you know what's coming. You don't need to announce it. You just need to become it. Ethan Price had always been the quiet kid. Not shy, not timid, just observant. In high school, he wasn't the one waving his report card in the air or posting his basketball stats online. He sat in the back of the classroom, taking notes in handwriting so neat it almost looked printed. People didn't notice Ethan until they needed something, a homework answer, help moving furniture, someone to cover their shift. He didn't mind, or at least he told himself he didn't. But what they didn't see was that Ethan carried the weight of an entire life on his shoulders. At 17, his father had been gone for years, and his mom worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. Every extra dollar Ethan made from tutoring or bagging groceries went into a coffee can hidden in his closet, his someday fund. Someday, he'd whisper to himself as he dropped in another crumpled bill, "I'm going to get out of here." Senior year, Ethan applied to 5 universities. One by one, the rejections came. The final one arrived on a rainy Thursday in March. "Dear Mr. Price, we regret to inform you." He read it 3 times, the words blurring until they were just black smudges on white paper. That night, a classmate posted a photo on Instagram with her acceptance letter, captioned, "Hard work pays off." The comments flooded in congratulations, applause, little flame emojis. Ethan didn't post anything. He just folded the rejection letter, placed it in a drawer, and went back to his part-time job. People noticed, not the rejection, but the silence. And in that silence, they made their own assumptions. Guess he didn't get in anywhere. Guess he's not going to college. Guess that's the end of that. They didn't know he'd already started teaching himself coding from free online courses. They didn't know he'd been spending nights building a small app, a budgeting tool for teenagers like him. They didn't know, because he didn't tell them. It happened on a bus ride home. Ethan sat in the back, listening to 2 guys from his school talk about someone they knew who had failed at everything. They didn't say his name. They didn't have to. For a moment, his chest burned with the urge to prove them wrong, to turn around and say, "Watch me." But then, he stopped himself. What good would that do? Talking wasn't winning. And if he was going to win, he wanted it to be so undeniable, so impossible to ignore, that he wouldn't need to say a single word. That night, he made a promise to himself. No more explaining, no more proving, just building. The months blurred. Days started at 6 a.m. with online classes at the community college he could afford. Evenings were split between his coffee shop job and his computer screen. His friends stopped inviting him out, not because they didn't like him, but because he kept saying no, and that was fine. The noise of their lives wasn't his soundtrack anymore. He learned to love the quiet, the tap of keys, the soft hum of his laptop fan, the way his mind lit up when he solved a problem in his code at 2 a.m. By the time he turned 19, his budgeting app had 1,000 downloads. By 21, it had 50,000. No ads, no sponsorships, just word of mouth from people who found it useful. Ethan didn't tell anyone from high school. He didn't post it online. He didn't want their applause. He wanted his work to speak louder than his voice ever could. One afternoon, while working in a cafe downtown, he overheard 2 college students talking at the next table. "Have you tried this budgeting app? It's free and it's way better than Mint. I think some small company made it." Ethan smiled into his coffee. That small company was just him, in a studio apartment with peeling paint. He didn't say anything, didn't introduce himself, just let the moment sink in, the moment he realized he had created something that was out in the world, helping people he'd never meet. That night, he closed his laptop and walked to the window. City lights glimmered below. For years, he'd wanted to shout his progress to the world. Now, he didn't feel the need. The work was enough. The quiet was enough. At 24, Ethan got an email. It was from a nonprofit that taught financial literacy to underprivileged teens. They wanted to partner with him not just for the app, but for his story. He almost declined, but something in him said yes. At the first workshop, he stood in front of 20 teenagers in hoodies and worn sneakers, just like he used to wear. He told them how he started with nothing but a laptop and a need to solve his own problem. He told them how he worked in silence, letting the results speak. When the workshop ended, one boy stayed behind. He shuffled his feet, eyes on the floor. "I'm gonna build something too," he said. Ethan smiled. "Good. Don't tell anyone. Just make it great." Sometimes the loudest voice in the room isn't the one talking. It's the one that refuses to compete for attention because it's too busy doing the work. You don't need to prove your worth in real time. You don't need to post every step of your journey. You don't need the world to know you're working for it to matter. Because when the results arrive, when the life you've been quietly building finally stands in front of you, no one will ask if you're worthy. They'll just see that you are. If you've ever felt underestimated, if you've ever wanted to prove someone wrong, don't waste your energy on proving. Build, create, grow, and let your success be the loudest thing about you. Drop a quiet win in the comments if this hit home, and subscribe for more stories like this.